Mike Oberheim's here with me today.
How's it going, guys?
So Mike's got a great career we're going to talk about, played a lot of different sports. 2021 Male Athlete of the Year winner at Hopkinton. Great to be with you today.
Great to be with you too, Drew. It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me over.
Yeah, of course. So let's start off with football. 2017 freshman season, 1-7, not the best start, but end up being a good career.
So I have some vivid memories of my freshman year and like coming on to the RedHawks, and um it was a lot. Like there was a lot of responsibility, a lot of accountability for me as a freshman because I didn't expect to play as much as I did. Um I played both sides of the ball for the majority of my freshman year, which is very, very, very hard to do, especially with the coach and Coach Wood. He's a very intense guy, and if you don't do the job, he's always going to put the best player on. But we went 1-7 because we weren't as disciplined, and we didn't have a true like I don't know, like a government in our like organization yet. We were kind of scattered and we lacked like
Culture.
yeah, kind of a Red Hawk culture like we called it. But we fought, we were in D2, like there was not much we could have done to succeed more than we did. Obviously our record shows that our team wasn't like the greatest, but we had potential and we were a very young team. But my freshman year was pretty fun. I was very glad to see a bunch of playing time and turned out well.
So would you say you were the starter your freshman year?
Yeah, so I started everywhere on the offense. I didn't start quarterback. Caleb was there in that position at the time. So I was like the utility guy. I would be the one running the ball with Colby, and then I'd be the one catching the ball in the slot. I'd be blocking for Aiden Horn. On defense, I'd play either safety or corner. Um, in my opinion, cornerback is probably the hardest position in football to play physically, not mentally. It's just like you can't really do anything about like some of the guys. They're really fast.
Yeah. So it's
So
hard because you're
yeah,
like, okay, I'm gonna chase him down. Oh, I see him, but then you gotta be looking for the ball at the same
right.
time.
So yeah, I had a lot of responsibilities as a freshman, which made me like grow up in my football career really early. And I mean, a 1-7 season, it sticks with you. Like it gives you motivation to improve on like success. But
You talked about Caleb being the quarterback. Would you learn from him?
all right. So Caleb, he was one of my biggest mentors my freshman year, if not the biggest. He was the one who would bring me to practice. As you know, we practice in Hillsborough, so it's a 30-minute drive. But Caleb, he taught me a bunch of like uh not skill techniques, but mental techniques that because quarterbacking is I was training under him for a while my freshman year, and I never got to really see the field, but he would always like show me footwork, um show me like what reads are the best, how to run play action and use a correct fake. And I don't know, he was a great mentor though. It like helped out a lot.
Yeah, I think it's really important to have that in like any sport, but I think especially football when you're being a quarterback and like there's a lot that goes into that mentally. Let's move on. 2018, much better record wise, 7-4.
Yeah, so the drop to D3, it was actually kind of nice for us. Um, we had like sort of the same team. We lost like I think I want to say 4 or 5 seniors, not too many, or like 2 or 3 starters that were seniors my freshman year into my sophomore year. Caleb started the season as quarterback, and I was doing around the same thing. I kind of uh, played a more uh, big role in playing quarterback later on in the season as we utilized Caleb's talent and ability to catch the ball and his height and his athleticism, and also putting him on defense because he was more of a reliability on defense, then I was kind of a liability on defense, not gonna lie. But yeah, it was good to see us improve. Colby took a huge step my sophomore year. I think pretty much everyone on our team, as soon as we saw an opportunity to capitalize in D3, we took a chance and we went pretty far. We went through 2 rounds and lost in the second. Beat Lebanon the first round. That was a really cool game. It was an Exeter. Jack Horn had a nice catch over the top. Great throw from Caleb. I remember that. And then Colby went beast mode and spun out and somehow stood up and ran for a lot of yards. And we somehow won that game, but lost in Monadnock because they had a very stout team. But it was a great season. That season I loved, but like I said, it was great to get on the field. And I enjoyed trying to like get my minutes at quarterback, and it turned out to be a very successful season.
Yeah, so following year was 2019, another 7-4 season, accomplished a lot of similar stuff, but you had 746 yards passing and 6 touchdowns, just absolute crazy season. And that's with a run heavy offense where you had Colby Quiet running the ball there. Colby had, I don't know, I looked at the stats. He had over 1,000 yards rushing that season. He had a bunch of touchdowns, and he went crazy. And then you also had Jack was young then, but he was there like backing Colby up. So you had like a lot of running, yet you still succeeded and put up some really big numbers for passing. How'd you manage to do that?
Well, I like to think as my junior year as the most stacked team in Red Hawk history. I think that we had every weapon known to man, and the weapon was Colby. So he was a very ball dominant guy, and like I would give it to him every time, and he would run and run and run. No one would be able to tackle him, but that allowed me to do my thing because people weren't expecting me to pull it out of his stomach and throw it for a 50-yard touchdown. But no, like we had so many weapons and so much talent on our offense. And not to mention how good our defense was too on top of that season. But Colby had a menace of a season, which like even you reading my stats, I'm
Yeah.
very impressed to how I did. Like I didn't really think I threw that many yards, but apparently that was the most yards I've thrown in a season. So
I got
and
something
touchdowns.
here. This is my first this is my notebook, and I found this about a week ago. It's my first game reporting on sports, and it was RedHawks against Interlakes. So you guys won this one 48-13. Colby had 4 touchdowns. Wow, that's it's pretty cool because I feel like I got to be a part of that just watching you guys, and this was like really the start of my I guess journalism career right here. September 14th, 2019. But you remember that game, Mike?
I do. So Colby absolutely torched Interlakes. Yes. I I didn't throw a ball more than 10 yards in the air. And I threw two. I think I was either one or two, and it was on screen passes. But one of my favorite games that I remember in my high school career was the one against Kearsarge, where I threw a total of 4 passes and I completed all 4 of them, and 3 of them were touchdowns, and it was like 126 yards. And I think all three, no, 2 of them were to Colby and 1 of them was to Max, and then 2 of them were like swing passes or screens, and Colby just ran the distance. Like I literally did need to throw the ball. He's just he was so talented. Like he was once in a lifetime player for the Red Hawk organization.
I
So.
think he's the most dominant player I've ever seen, and I've been covering, sports for Hopkinton my whole high school career. So he was just unreal.
Colby used to tell me, he'd always say, like, Mike, you like to have everyone puts me in like this position where I'm the guy, but like you're the quarterback, you're the one who gives me the ball. Like I can't even if I don't get the ball, I can't be who I am. So my job is to make those playmakers like Jack, like Max Costello, like John Jacobson, like Colby Quiet, obviously, Caleb. all those players make the plays and like do their thing. And that's why we succeeded, because we had those guys that could get the yards after catch and all those things that win football games.
Yeah, so 2020, that was the COVID year. Your last year, senior season, 4-2. What happened?
Uh, so I I took accountability as a captain my junior and my senior year, and it was one of those things where COVID kind of ruined our whole like boot camp warm up type into the season. I kind of took that under my wing, and I started like a little thing at on our field where we would just go and we would work on our game, get better in the summer because we couldn't have like scheduled things because of COVID. Um, we would just run some routes, run some walkthrough plays, like no contact. Like obviously you don't want to get hurt before the season.
Yeah.
Conditioning, some of those things. But my senior year, it was one of the best years I've ever had. We were in D2, we got moved back up from D3, and we were playing some hard talent, but we were winning games this time. Instead of my freshman year where we were 1-7, we were 4-2, and we made the playoff or a play-in game. But without Colby, it was weird for me, but also it helps when you have a Jack Morale too. But I like to think of my senior year as me being more of like the quarterback I thought I would be, instead of one that like is a secondary option, a system player. I was more of out of my shell. But I had a great season, through some very cool deep balls. John had one of the best catches I've ever seen in my freaking life. It was one-handed on the side. It was in bow, right on the pylon. He still lost, but it was a great catch. Um, but I remember beating up on John Stark, beating up on Pembroke, and beating up on MV. And those three teams, they were decent organizations. They gave us a little bit of a challenge, but we succeeded most of the time.
So you lost Colby. That was obviously a big void. You talked a little bit about Jack and like Jack helping out. When Jack was on for an interview a while back, I remember him saying, and we had Mike Oberheim, who was a very, very good quarterback for us. So what was your relationship with Jack, and how did that kind of fill the void of losing Colby doing so?
Well, Jack and I have been basically blood brothers for the longest time. Like that kid I'd do anything for, and he knows I got his back, and I know he's got mine. Like we don't even like need to talk to each other. We just know. It's one of those like chemistry things. But that kid he was a stud, and I mean he made it easy for me to do my job, and I made it easy for him to do his. So it kind of just worked perfectly. But I remember the best play to correlate with our connection was probably the bow game, where it was like it was a playing game. It was like a 73-yard touchdown pass, perfectly placed right over Jack's shoulder, and he just catches it and is running like a gazelle, just untouched. It was like the most perfect play. It was so pretty. But that kid, I love that kid. He was such a great kid, and it was an honor to give him the athlete of the year last year.
Yeah. So yeah, you were 2021 male athlete of the year. He was 2022 male athlete of the year, and you got to go present it to him. That was just pretty cool. I remember watching that.
Colby was before me, and then it was me, and then Jack. So a little RedHawk trend going on. But yeah, I also senior year won first team all-state quarterback for D2, which was a very big accomplishment for me. But that kind of showed that I stepped out of that system quarterback and more of my own type player. But I didn't like to think of myself as a system quarterback. I don't care about stats. I want to win. Like that's not like on my mind. Like
So yeah, I think that's why you were probably so successful, is you just had that winner's mentality.
Yeah, I mean, I was tired of losing. I saw an eighth grade year when I went 0-8, and then ninth grade when I went 1-7. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna lose anymore. I'm done with this. But no, it was awesome. Our senior year was a wonderful team, and I'm so disappointed it got cut short to COVID, because just imagining like where like we would have been if our season was like longer, and how like uh united we would have been as a team like at the end of the season.
So I'm gonna ask it. This RedHawks team, you guys, this team just this season, wasn't as good. What's your advice for those guys to kind of turn it around and hopefully make more progress in the future?
Well, as I said, like I started as a freshman, and that's because of my work ethic. And I know Vincent, one of my best friends, co-captains, he also had a strong work ethic, and we would just push each other. And another captain, Alex Brown and Dylan Barrett, they're from Hillsborough, but they would join in, and they would push and push, and we had like an organization with people who are motivated to improve on success. And if you want to get better at football, you can't just like show up. You gotta like prepare, and preparation is like the number one thing in football. Like you have 6 days to prepare for that one game. It's not like basketball where your next game's like 2 days from now. Like, oh, I'll get them next time. Like there's no next time. You're gonna see that team either in the playoffs or you're not gonna make it. Like
Yeah. So let's move on to basketball now. So your first season, 18-4.
Yeah, so my freshman year, I played JV throughout completely, but I also I remember practicing a bunch with varsity, and that team was very stacked. They had pretty much anybody that you could think of. Um, I definitely didn't deserve a spot on varsity with the amount of talent. And my freshman year, I started basketball in eighth grade. So like it was my second year ever playing organized basketball. Um, but it was fun. Like I got a lot better. I didn't get it was like Coach Hill era. So he was JV, and then I think
Signor, yep,
Stignor
it was Signor.
first year, right?
It
Or
was
second
Signor's
year.
second year was your
Yeah.
freshman year.
But he was doing a great job. Like he stepped in for Coach Chase, and I had a lot of respect for Signor. He kind of just took over, and everything was so smooth. So
So sophomore year was 2018, 2019, 13-7.
okay, so this year was kind of a weird year for me. So I started off as on JV. I missed the cut of varsity my sophomore year, and then they swung me up like not even half. It was like couple games in the season, and I would just kind of ride the bench for a while and see how it would go. And I didn't get a lot of playing time, but it felt really great to be on that team. Um, I remember the team having some sort of like, I don't know, connection. It was like we weren't like connected as well as I thought we were. Um, then again, I didn't know basketball as well as all them at the time. It took me a while to get knowledge of basketball, but after my sophomore year, I kind of got sad of sitting on the bench, so I did something about it, and I started playing AAU during the summer. And I stopped playing spring sports my freshman year. So it worked perfectly, so I could improve on my game, and just get better all around.
Yeah, so next year, 2019, 2020, junior year, 16-5. So you were varsity at that point, right?
Yeah, we were. I was strictly varsity at that point. But I swung down for some games that just to get playing time, because me, Brendan, Quinn, like we would get playing time on varsity, and then also JV. We'd play like a half maybe, just to like get that group together. Because Signor, his number one priority was to always build for the next year to come, and he thought since we were also getting minutes, but not like those like star minutes, like we're playing role player minutes. We're not playing, the starting five. And he he gave us some opportunity to amend, and that definitely helped us out when our senior year came along. But I remember vividly losing to Guilford before everything shut down due to COVID. That was a tragic loss. It hurt me. Even I played like 2 minutes at the end of the game, and it hurt me more than a lot of people on that team. I see a lot of crying faces I don't like. So
Yeah.
yeah.
2020, 2021, senior season, and then Guilford again. This time,
Oh,
state championship, lose by 1 point.
see, this is what hurts. 1 point. 1 point. That's the only thing that it'll stick with me for the rest of my life. And it's one of those things to look back on and be like, wow, I was really that close away from walking away with a title. My only high school title. I've never won a sports title at Hopkinton. And I know a lot of people can say they have, and they can win one, but I have never won one. So, um, but that was the closest I've ever been. That season, I was a captain. Um, I loved my team. I would have tossed myself in front of and into a brick wall for that team. Like same for my football teams. Like that's the type of guy I am. Like, um, but my job that year was uh my role increased. I would play majority of the game, sit down 2 minutes max, and I would be the hustler. Like my job was to get the ball, get the fast break going, get the defense and the energy going, make the occasional corner three and the free throws that matter. Uh, but that game we uh we had it. We were up 13-0 in the championship. No, we were up 13 points in the championship at halftime. And they came back and we came out flat, and that can't happen.
What'd you learn?
Uh I learned a lot of things from my senior year and that taking that loss. And it's you can't expect that you already won when you're up. You can't let them you can't give another team opportunities. You can't squander opportunities for yourself either. You can't shoot yourself in the foot. Turnovers are huge. And I remember hurting myself in that game and being very upset because I couldn't return. And seeing those final minutes from the bench kind of hurt because there was nothing I could really do about it, and I wanted to do so many things about it. But our playoff run was awesome. Like I said, COVID, like the whole COVID thing, we were playing D2 teams most of the time, which helped us throughout the playoffs, and playing like harder competition throughout the season made us more prepared. But we finally got to Guilford, and that was the game. We had it, and we all know what happened.
You talk about the strong desire to win a state championship at Hopkinton that you weren't able to get done. What are the odds that we see Coach Mike Oberheim return to try and win one as a coach?
Well, there's a possibility. I'm never gonna count it out that my return to Hopkinton in a different way than other than a player. I always like to contribute back to Hopkinton because Hopkinton put me in the most successful sports career I could have had. And uh, he gave me so many opportunities, and it's just such an amazing sports environment, especially for such a small town. And like seeing how Hopkinton is now and how it was when I was a kid, it's like the same. Like the energy's the same. Like everyone's obsessed with their sport and everyone's trying to improve. Like I see these kids on the basketball team. I just played the alumni game. They're already improved, like from when I was a senior. So, but it's super cool to see like um the teams and how successful they are even after losing all this talent. Like each year, we still are always in conversation for championships for certain sports teams. But I'll never rule out coaching. I love coaching. I used to coach the young kids for flag football for RedHawks. And I love that, but I don't know if I can coach young kids. I'd rather coach older ones that are kind of can understand me. I'm very patient, but I'm uh I'm very like educated on football and basketball, so it's like nice to like say something and have someone actually understand what you're
Yeah,
saying.
because like maybe somebody who's more of a novice would be better coaching younger kids.
Mm.
You could do it for like older kids, and not everybody has that, knowledge to be able to do that. Let's talk a little bit briefly about the AAU basketball program because you played JV baseball when you were in eighth grade, and then a little bit when you were a freshman. Then just decided that's not for me, and did that to try and build your basketball skills and make yourself a better player. What was that?
JV baseball, I swung up eighth grade year to JV, and it was actually really fun. Like we sucked, obviously, but we had fun. Like we did uh pretty much everything the varsity would have done, obviously worse, but it was fun. And but I developed a big role in pitching and a lot of arm stuff. And me being a quarterback, I didn't want to risk my arm getting thrown out before the season or all that because the seasons bordered each other. It's not like it's basketball and like, football. Like, they kind of don't like after basketball season. I have time in between,
Yeah.
but doing AAU filled in that gap for me. And what I did was basically during the summer go to AAU every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'd be lifting, and then Friday, Saturday, I had my days off. I just relax. Sundays after AAU, I'd watch football, obviously. But yeah, I went through the Raiders program, and I was with Quinn and Brendan through that program, and they uh they actually helped me a lot on my jump shot and my dribbling skills and like because I had the natural ability to like play defense and like the ball skills to like hawk a ball and steal it, but I didn't have the skills to dribble, drive, shoot, or like I could pass, but I didn't like know the offenses and like what's the right pass, how to like ball fake, bounce pass properly, high pass, whatever. But Raiders was like a skill and drill thing, and it really like the only reason why I did it was just to get better for because I was tired of playing on the bench. Like I was trying to show Signor that I had something. And he always told me he's like you improve every year. You have like I see your talent. You just need to put it together. And senior year I put it together and I I was one of the starting five consistently through the whole year and probably didn't I didn't really sit like unless I was hurt, but I didn't really sit.
So let's talk about what's gone on since you graduated about a year and a half ago, and you've gone on Plymouth State sports marketing major. What can you tell me about that?
So my original plan was to play at Plymouth, as many people know, and I decided that uh my Hopkinton sports career was successful enough for me to leave it at that. And like I look back and I don't regret making that decision to stop playing football. Obviously I miss it and like if I played I'd be playing right now, but I just don't see myself continuing a sports career any further. Um just because I don't want to hurt myself permanently. And on top of that, the responsibility and the amount of scheduling and um, it's just a lot. Like it's literally like a full time job. Like, and I don't think I was ready for that. And um, but I took a different approach to it that a lot of people don't. And I look at it as I've been playing for so long that now it's time for me to like see the different side of what sports is like. Sports are just you got the athletes, you got the coaches, but then you got like the front office, you got all the ticket sales, you got all the booster stuff, even if it's like for high school. Like you have to have some sort of sports management or sports government towards sports team. But I think sports marketing fits me perfectly because I'm a very good talker and I'm very good at like, I don't know, promoting things and like getting people to want something or like, yo, that's so cool. And me putting sports in that, my passion for it, like I can bring out even more passion and like marketing and stuff. So it just works perfectly for me. I'm enjoying it a lot and I'm enjoying Plymouth. It's a great campus. It's kind of like Hopkinton. It's like very small, but also like a lot bigger, like a lot bigger. But it's like you get to know it, like you get to know a lot of people. Like I run into a bunch of people and make good connections up there, and uh, they better me and I better them. So
So where do you see yourself 5, 10 years down the line?
Drew, I would like to see myself working for some professional organization. Doesn't matter what type of sport it is, as long as it's some professional sports organization. Working behind the scenes, selling tickets, selling merchandise, selling those types of things like cards, maybe even just like um, I don't even know. Just anything to deal with like sports sales and sports merchandise and any of like just selling product and for sports, like I'd love doing that. Like even if it's like me sitting in a booth doing a bunch of paperwork, like I'm still a part of that organization. That's just super cool. Like I don't know, anything sports related, I'm like a geek about. So I know you're the same way.
Yeah,
Probably.
exactly.
So we can
Absolutely.
relate.
For
Um,
sure. I was just gonna say. So, you have any additional thoughts for people out there listening that want to know about you or want advice about sports and kind of chasing your dreams with that?
well, the only advice I'd give to chase your dream is just be the best person you can be. Like you have a certain amount of traits and a certain amount of things you can control, but there's also some things that you can't control. And some things you can't control can put some people down. And what you need to do is take what you have and be the best person at that job or be the best athlete at what you can be with what you have. Like I was never the tallest guy, was never the fastest guy. Uh, maybe I was the smartest guy, but that's it was one of those things where like I would always just try to get better. And like I've never settled for anything. Like I wouldn't want to settle. Like why would you? Because like even professionals, they don't settle. They still learn, they still get better. Like you see LeBron, he's changing his game and he's 37, 36 years old and he's able to shoot threes like couldn't do when he was started the season. He's just adjusting his game based off of what he can do now. So
Yeah.
but I just like to thank all the coaches and all the players that I've been a part of throughout my high school career that have made it so influential. Coach Wood, Coach Signor, obviously thank you Dan Meserve for everything. Um, but I want to thank out of absolutely anyone in the world, my mom, biggest supporter of all time. Love you. I'll appreciate you forever. But she was probably my biggest supporter through my sports career. So, but it was a pleasure having uh, her around for most of my games and seeing her face there, and it was just awesome. But
Yeah. Well, thank you, Mike. I
of course,
appreciate it.
Drew, it was
So,
a pleasure coming.
yeah, it was a pleasure to have you
Nice
here.
talking to you.
Yeah. Always nice to talk to new people and RedHawks quarterback, man.
Of
You had a great
course.
career.
Yeah. I hope you do well, bro.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Yeah, of course.